Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Ada for yelling at my mom when she acted like nothing happened after my dad cheated. My parents had a fantastic relationship, or so I believed, until something happened to change everything. My 14-year-old female parents have people over all of the time, and they continually remind me that I am allowed to invite friends over as well as myself. As a result, it came as no surprise when I entered the front door and heard my father and another woman talking about something in the kitchen. It occurred to me that my father had not yet yelled my name when he heard me enter the house, so I believed he did not think I had arrived at home. I walked into the kitchen to greet my father, but then I saw something. He kissed the woman on the cheek who wasn't his mother, but it was a kind gesture. They were both facing away from the entryway, so they were unable to see me at all. My father then began flirting with the woman until I threw my bag on the ground in an attempt to get the couple's attention. They parted ways, and Dad inquired as to whether it was I who had approached him. When I walked into the kitchen, I greeted him and the woman and then retired to my room for the rest of the day. I had hardly just walked out the door when my mom got home. I helped my mother put her stuff away and arrange her weekly flowers in a vase before approaching her and informing her of what I had observed. She stayed quiet for a few moments before assuring me that she would take care of everything and that I didn't need to worry about anything anymore. Nothing happens for a few days. There was no tension, no disputing, no scowling at each other, and there was no divorce between the two of them. There's nothing like what happens to cheaters in movies and other entertainment. The fact that my mother could still laugh with my father and cook for him after what he had done was irritating to me at the time. When I confronted her yesterday after supper and after my father had gone to bed for the night, I demanded to know what was wrong with her and how she could continue to live with a dishonest father. She moaned and pleaded with me to take it back, but I refused. My questions were more directed at her, and I inquired as to why she was not pursuing a divorce and why she was forced to put up with my pa's father. My mother looked at me with a harsh expression and cautioned me to watch my tone so that I didn't anger my father. I eventually yelled at her, asking why she was standing by him, and she responded by saying she'd explain everything after I'd cooled down a little. I told my 17-year-old brother the whole story so that he might understand the truth about my father, but he seemed irritated by the revelation. He told me to stop talking about my father and not to tell anybody else in the family what he had told me. He said that if Mom claimed she could manage it, she would be able to handle it. I told him that this was not the case, yet they continued to act as if it were. Instead of yelling at my mother, he gave me a harsh look and told me to calm down and talk to her as a mature adult instead. He also referred to me as a jerk for worsening the situation and making dinner preparation tough. My belief is that I am the jerk, but what the hell do I know? Ada? My after-school activities had been canceled on that particular day, and I hadn't notified my parents, so they weren't prepared for me to get home at such an early hour. I'll just list the dates and times in the following order. Having caught my father after school on Friday, I immediately alerted my mother when she returned home from work on Friday night. I then went after my mother on Monday night, writing this post an hour after yelling at her, talking to my cousin at 12 a.m., and then apologizing after school Tuesday. Edit 1. When I questioned my father about it, he just avoided replying and told me that he and his mother would speak to me about it after I had calmed down. What do I need to calm down about? Edit 2. Despite what my brother claimed, I discussed it with my cousin since we're really close, 16 female. She basically told me two things. 1. Is it possible to stop being affected by TikTok and Reddit? And 2. Said that they are in an open relationship. When I inquired how she knew for sure, she urged me to give my parents time to explain, and that it took her mom a month to eventually sit her and my brother down after they found her with a family friend. She informed me what occurred around 5 years ago when I asked. I had no idea my aunt was like that. Edit 3. After sleeping it off and reading everyone's comments, I felt terrible for shouting at my mother and realized I deserved all those ha. I apologized to my mother when I returned home from school and am currently staying with a friend for a few days. When I return, I hope my parents will be ready to chat. Update. After sleeping off my fury and reading some of the responses, I realized I was in the wrong. Some people said that my parents were trying to figure out the best way to speak to me, which I think was accurate, since they've never been excellent at having heart-to-heart conversations. So, thinking it would be best for everyone, I made arrangements to stay with a close friend and leave my parents alone. I apologized to my mother and then departed for my friend's house. There was a little arson incident at our high school about an hour before school finished, so we all got out early, and I opted to go sooner as well. We had our talk after my folks arrived home from work. My mother apologized excessively for keeping me waiting and not saying anything sooner, and my father apologized for allowing me to witness what I saw. I accepted them, but apologized to my mother once again. "We weren't intending on telling you anything until you moved out," my mother said. "But you're for a father usually screws stuff up." She went on to say that what they have is similar to an open relationship, but they didn't know what to call it until one of their friends suggested it. She also informed me that if they were being honest, it was she who cheated initially, and my father was okay. My father informed me that if I so desired, they would no longer have their pals around. I turned down the offer since I was already accustomed to seeing them and didn't mind having additional people in the home. My brother joined the discussion and told me how he learned about my aunt and our dad. My brother afterwards came to my room and showed me my AITA post on his phone. Yes, he discovered my FML post. He grabbed me and apologized. To clarify a few points. 1. Many of you said that it was evident that it was an open relationship, but it didn't seem that way to me. 2. Many of you misunderstood the statement. Never knew my aunt was like that. I wasn't criticizing or anything. I was just startled since I didn't expect my aunt, of all people, to like such things. She's a very conservative. 3. I didn't want to think my parents were having an open relationship because I couldn't imagine it. 4. My mother often teaches me a few things, one of which is never allow a guy make you a fool. What irritated me was the notion that my mother was just allowing my father to act erratically without consequence. 5. I never wanted to be divorced. 6. I once made a movie reference law. 7. My parents did not deceive me, and I'm not scarred. Everyone that shared their stories, I hope you're all at peace now. This was an emotional roller coaster that I believe brought us all closer together. Thank you all again, and I wish you all a good day or night. Story 2. AITA for helping my friend leave his wife cheated, and children non-biological, and hiding it from his wife and my GF. A few weeks ago, I received a late-night call from a buddy requesting me to meet him. He had apparently discovered that both of his children were not his. I was taken aback, but he gave me the paternity test results, and his wife admitted that they may not be his. He believes he is infertile. They'd always had a tumultuous marriage. He hasn't returned home since. My buddies and I are assisting him with routine tasks. He is presently residing in a residence that I own. He called a lawyer. It seems that under our country's legislation, a father cannot request a paternity test after marriage. However, the lawyer said that he may win if they could demonstrate that he cannot be the father without a paternity test. I believe this is just legal language. He'll be getting a fertility test. His attorney also intends to present the true father in court. My girlfriend is really close to his wife. She believes we as buddies should speak reason into him. After my buddy had departed, my girlfriend and I went to meet the wife. She and her children were in tears. One is 6-years-old, the other is 2. She is also a stay-at-home mom. I felt terrible, but I'm not sure whether I should intervene. My buddy phoned his wife and informed her that he would only speak with her via a lawyer. My girlfriend and wife are aware that we are in communication with him, but they are unaware that I am lodging him. They are also unaware that his lawyer contacted his biological father. I'm wondering whether I'm a horrible person for not telling them anything, since my buddy would be furious if I did. AITA? Edit 1. I'm wondering whether I'm in for not getting involved. Not if my buddy is a jerk for abandoning his children. I know he is, but I don't know what I would do in this scenario, so I didn't say anything to him. Edit 2. I'll inform my girlfriend, but I'll make her pledge not to tell the wife. Edit 3. I've chosen not to inform my girlfriend since it's difficult to keep up with this site, and everyone told me to tell her at first. The majority now advises keeping it a secret.